Hello and welcome to DD India. I'm Akshay Dongre and you're watching a special program, Voice of the Global South, a show that brings to you stories, news, achievements and concerns of a rising aspirational world. So let us begin with today's episode. Sultan Haitham bin Tariq of Oman was on a 3-day visit to India where he held delegation-level talks with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The two leaders discussed ties between India and Oman and adopted the India-Oman Joint Vision document titled A Partnership for the Future.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi held talks with Sultan of Oman, Haitham bin Tariq in New Delhi. PM Modi warmly received the Sultan of Oman at Hyderabad House, setting the stage for bilateral discussions. The agenda included taking stock of bilateral ties and charting pathways for the future collaboration between the two countries.
सदियों से भारत और ओमान गहरी मित्रता के अटूट संबंध रहे हैं। अरब सागर के एक छोर पर भारत है तो दूसरे छोर पर ओमान है। हमारी आपसी निकटता केवल भूगोल तक सीमित नहीं है, बल्कि ये हमारे हजारों वर्षों से चले रहे व्यापार और संस्कृति और हमारी समान प्राथमिकताओं से भी झलकती है। इस यशस्वी इतिहास के बलबूते पर हम एक उज्जवल भविष्य की संरचना कर रहे हैं।
At the bilateral talks, India's PM Modi said India and Oman are adopting a new joint vision for future. He stressed that the joint vision would enhance the partnership between the two countries.
आज हम एक नए इंडिया ओमान जॉइंट विजन अ पार्टनरशिप फॉर फ्यूचर को एडॉप्ट कर रहे हैं। इस जॉइंट विजन में 10 विभिन्न क्षेत्रों पर ठोस एक्शन पॉइंट्स पर सहमति बनी है। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि जॉइंट विजन हमारी साझेदारी को एक नया और आधुनिक स्वरूप देगा। मुझे खुशी है पक्षों के बीच सीपा एग्रीमेंट पर चर्चा जारी है। इस वार्ता के 2 राउंड सफलतापूर्वक संपन्न किए जा चुके हैं, जिसमें कई महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दों पर सहमति बन चुकी है। मैं आशा करता हूं कि हम जल्द ही इस एग्रीमेंट को साइन कर पाएंगे, जिससे हमारे आर्थिक सहयोग में एक नए अध्याय का जुड़ना हो जाएगा।
Both countries signed several MOUs relating to information technology, cooperation in the field of culture, combating financial crimes, and establishing Hindi chair of the Indian Council for Cultural Relations in Oman. Earlier on Saturday morning, the Sultan of Oman was accorded a ceremonial reception at the forecourt of Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Draupadi Murmu received the Sultan at the Rashtrapati Bhavan.
Surat city in West Indian state of Gujarat is now home to world's largest office building, the Surat Diamond Bourse. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the mega working complex, which is spread over 6.7 million square feet and has 4,500 offices.
Situated in Kajod village near Surat city, the Surat Diamond Bourse, spread over 6.7 million square feet, is now the world's largest office complex. This diamond trade center consists of 9 towers of 15 floors that will be housing more than 4,500 offices.
आजकल आप सभी मोदी की गारंटी की चर्चा खूब सुनते होंगे। हाल के दिनों में जो चुनाव नतीजे आए, उसके बाद ये चर्चा और बढ़ गई है। लेकिन सूरत के लोग तो मोदी की गारंटी को बहुत पहले से जानते हैं। यहां के परिश्रमी लोगों ने मोदी की गारंटी को सच्चाई में बदलते देखा है और इसी गारंटी का उदाहरण ये सूरत डायमंड बोर्स भी है।
The Bourse comprises a state-of-the-art customs clearance house for import-export, a jewelry mall for retail jewelry businesses, and a facility for international banking and safe walls. The 9 towers are connected with each other by a large 22-kilometer long central corridor with access to services and facilities similar to an airport terminal. There are 9 Panchatattva courts, that is natural elements courts, in between the 9 buildings created as recreational and green spaces. The complex is a pre-certified green building by the Indian Green Building Council because of its eco-friendly and sustainability measures adopted to function itself.
अब दुनिया में कोई भी कहेगा डायमंड बोर्स तो सूरत का नाम साथ आएगा, भारत का नाम भी आएगा। सूरत डायमंड बोर्स भारतीय डिजाइन, भारतीय डिजाइनर्स, भारतीय मटेरियल और भारतीय कॉन्सेप्ट के सामर्थ्य को दिखाता है। ये बिल्डिंग नए भारत के नए सामर्थ्य और नए संकल्प का प्रतीक है।
In addition, there is a dedicated custom clearance house for import and export of diamonds and a national diamond research institute. In Surat, which is home to the diamond Bourse, nearly 90% of the global diamonds are polished. The building has surpassed US Pentagon to become the largest office in the world in July this year. The office complex is expected to bring in a turnover of over $25 billion annually.
A territorial dispute in a corner of Latin America has sparked international alarm in recent weeks. There is now relief that Venezuela and Guyana have reached a truce, but the Latin American neighbors have been left wondering how long will it hold. DD India's correspondent Mary Trini Mena reports.
This was the handshake that signaled compromise. A pledge not to use force to resolve a dispute going back 100 years. The territory in question, the Essequibo, in the Amazon jungle, which counts for 2/3 of modern-day Guyana.
Agreed that Guyana and Venezuela, directly or indirectly, will not threaten or use force against one another in any circumstances, including those consequential to any existing controversies between the two states.
The border dispute began in the late 1800s when Guyana, a former British colony, established its borders. Ever since then, Venezuela has contested the legality of Guyana's boundaries. The Geneva Agreement of 1966 sought to settle the conflict.
El Acuerdo de Ginebra se firmó ese año.
The Geneva Agreement was signed that year, which sets out a practical and equitable agreement between the parties. Why has it not been solved? Because Guyana has always refused to negotiate.
In 2018, Guyana went further and took the dispute to the International Court of Justice, a court Venezuela doesn't recognize. Over the last decade, Guyana's oil output and revenues have grown dramatically. By contrast, Venezuela sank deeper into economic crisis. Caracas asserted its territorial claim more aggressively. In December, Venezuela held a referendum to approve the creation of a new Venezuelan state. Just days after the vote, President Maduro presented a new map adding the Essequibo, and he ordered state-owned companies to drill for oil and gas in the disputed region.
Venezuela is talking about granting concessions for claimed areas that are mostly offshore, which is fundamentally where the problem lies. What is difficult is to find companies interested in an area that is in dispute.
The territorial dispute has alarmed Venezuela's neighbors, prompting Brazil to take a lead in negotiations. Some analysts say President Maduro is trying to create a distraction from his own economic problems and stroke national unity.
Even though I believe it's highly unlikely that this could end in a war or an armed conflict, you can't rule it out when a government is using and waving the flag of patriotism and nationalism in an effort to unite a country behind itself.
Which is why many fear the truce will not hold. For now, Venezuela is getting ready for a new meeting with Guyana over the Essequibo and upcoming presidential elections, both in 2024. In Caracas, Maritrini Mena, reporting for DD India.
We'll take a small break here and be back with more Global South stories on the other side. Keep watching.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Turning crisis into opportunity, transforming ideas into action, stories of real change, tales of sustainable solution. This series is going to tell stories of such change makers. Watch Change Makers on DD India.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibility. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India and this is Voice of the Global South. Let's move on to our next story. A strong 6.2 magnitude earthquake rocked northwestern China on 19 December, killing 131 people in the nation's deadliest quake in 9 years. Around 1,000 people are injured while 16 are still missing. Rescue operations have been started by the authorities. However, many are still awaiting respite.
Frightened residents are out of homes into the cold in the dead of the night. Roads, power and water lines damaged, as well as agricultural production facilities, triggering land and mudslides. In Qinghai's quake-hit Haidong, Ma Shiyuehua said his family home had been completely leveled.
We haven't eaten anything in the past 2 days. We haven't had any water to drink. The house is all gone, and so is the food. But our family is safe.
Those who lost their homes in the earthquake had no options left but to gather in fields, burning wheat straw for warmth. One family of 7 took refuge in a car for the night as emergency tents were prioritized for the elderly and young.
My parents were pulled out from underneath this, but I don't know how. Anyway, we ran to whatever we could.
The power went out. There was nothing inside. I panicked. I called out for my son. I called his name, but there was no response.
Braving below freezing conditions, rescuers pulled to safety victims, while survivors faced months of uncertainty ahead without permanent shelter. Food supplies were also a concern, as rescue operations ended on Tuesday afternoon.
In the next step, the Disaster Relief Command Center will continue the various work in our disaster relief efforts. As of today, the rescue operation has more or less ended. Our priority will shift to treating the injured and making arrangements for the affected people to ensure the safety of their lives and property.
By early Wednesday, there were 2 aftershocks of magnitude 4.0 and above, and 8 of magnitude 3.0 and above. Earthquakes are common in provinces such as Gansu, lying on the northeastern boundary of the tectonically active Qinghai Tibetan Plateau. China's deadly quake in the recent decades was in 2008, when a magnitude 8.0 quake struck Sichuan, killing nearly 70,000 people.
4 years of consecutive drought and heat wave has wreaked havoc on the farmers in northern Tunisia. Scanty rainfall has brought down the water levels in some reservoirs to as low as 22%, impacting the agriculture in most part of the country, threatening its crucial crops. Meanwhile, according to the World Bank, the persistent droughts in the country has also slowed down the economic growth of the country.
Look at the drought, look at what it did to us. It impacted us and impacted agriculture in general.
Tunisian farmer Mohamed Hamami holds dry pomegranates in its hands while standing in his drought-hit farm in northern Tunisia's Testor town.
I am 74 years old and I have never seen drought and heat like this before. Previously, there would be 3 or 4 days of high temperature and then it cools down. However, now temperature has been same since June with intense heat.
A drought this bad has never been witnessed before in the country, while previously a few days of severe heat at a time was experienced, but this year it's been hot for months. 4 years of drought have dried up Tunisian reservoirs, threatening harvests that are critical to the country's battered economy.
Look at the disastrous situation in the state of Manoba. This public irrigation area, spanning 2,500 hectares, has all been lost. And agriculture has suffered the same fate. Look at the dire situation we are facing, leading to an empty valley dividing the state today with lack of water.
Earlier this year, the country announced it was cutting off water supplies to citizens for 7 hours a night due to the drought. The Agriculture Ministry has also banned the use of potable water to wash cars, water green areas and clean streets and public places. Violators face a fine and imprisonment for a period of between 6 days to 6 months. This prolonged drought not only jeopardizes harvests but also poses a significant threat to the country's already fragile economy, underscoring the urgent need for comprehensive measures to address the escalating environmental challenges.
Farmers will give up because they are no longer able to work. If the state does not assist, support and aid them in all aspects, these lands and crop will not endure and we will all end up on the streets.
Bolivia has opened its first lithium plant. It is a historic step to become one of the world's top producers of this precious metal. All this news coming in the backdrop of Bolivia getting green light for full Mercosur membership, which may transform the economy of Bolivia and push the entire region towards greener alternatives of fuel.
The white metal is a key component for rechargeable batteries for mobile phones, laptops, digital cameras and electric vehicles. It is also used in some non-rechargeable batteries for gadgets like heart pacemakers, toys and clocks. Bolivia is the global leader in lithium resources with an estimated reserve of 23 million metric tons.
We want our Bolivian Lithium company, Bolivian Lithium Deposits YBL, to compete with foreign technology and companies that have come to Bolivia to work with our lithium. We want that competition because we're the world's top lithium reserve. Therefore, we should develop our own technology for lithium, brothers and sisters. That is why we demand our YBL team be at the world's cutting edge, because we are the planet's biggest lithium reserve. The metal has seen its price skyrocket over the recent years as car makers rushed to shift their production away from combustion engine vehicles to comply with more stringent regulations that aim to curb climate change. Citizens in Bolivia have been facing hardships due to higher fuel prices.
There is no diesel and we have to get to our destination. They want to sell us at $101 and we have to load up to $246 to $260. So it's not enough. It's even worse now. We have to fill up here in La Paz until we get to our destination. Then there is no fuel on the road. In Oruro, there is none. In Potosi, there is no diesel. It's terrible. Tarija had fuel, but now there isn't any more.
Bolivia acquired a full member of South American Mercosur trade bloc this month, which would boost regional integration and establish new markets, given its relevant reserves of natural gas, lithium, and other strategic materials.
We want to lead our country to becoming one of the most important lithium producers. This will generate added value. This will generate foreign exchange, turning the strategic resource into a fundamental value for our national and regional economy. This complex is a step towards our lithium plan for 2025 or 2026, with hopes of reaching production of 100,000 tons of lithium carbonate. South America's so-called lithium triangle, comprising Bolivia, Chile, and Argentina, holds more than half the world's proven lithium resources.
A lethal combination of conflicts, climate change, and high food prices may lead to a record hunger in West and Central Africa next year. According to the United Nations, up to 50 million people in Africa may face hunger, and about 6.2 million may face acute hunger, which will be a record for the continent.
A recent report released by the United Nations World Health Organization has warned that hungry people in West and Central Africa are expected to reach a record high of 49.5 million. The report states that international funding for humanitarian aid is failing to keep pace with record levels of acute hunger.
Nearly 80% of people currently facing food insecurity are located in conflict zones. We also witness the impacts of climate change. For instance, this year, there have been prolonged periods of halted rainfall in certain areas, resulting in significant crop losses for local farmers. Additionally, economic challenges, such as soaring prices, inflation, and currency devaluation in some countries have made it exceedingly tough for many households to regularly access food.
Conflicts that have displaced millions of people from their home, impacts of climate change, and soaring food and fuel prices are a major reason why more than 2/3 of households in the region cannot afford healthy diets. As a result, the cost of a daily nutritious diet is 110% higher than the daily minimum wage.
The deterioration of the food and nutritional situation in coastal countries can be primarily attributed to two significant factors. The first factor is, indeed, the issue of scarcity, such as in Ghana. This stems from a challenging economic situation. Ghana is grappling with both high inflation and the steep increase in the price of maize, a staple food, which has more than doubled compared to the last 5 years. The country is burdened with the high debt and a significant depreciation of its currency, inevitably causing imports, especially food imports, to become much more expensive. Therefore, this challenging economic situation, exemplified by Ghana, can also be observed in other countries like Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Nigeria.
The UN agencies and the African Union Commission have called for urgent action to end food insecurity in Africa. The World Food Programme has called on national governments and financial partners to prioritize programs that strengthen climate-resilient food systems and livelihoods. It also suggested them to improve natural resource management, including water, as an accelerator of resilience and development. Food insecurity, led by factors like war, the breakdown of distribution and transportation, and changed climate patterns, disproportionately impact the global south than the rest of the the world. There is need to realize the reason for food crisis and provide a solution in time.
This is all we have for you in this edition of Voice of the Global South. Let us know your thoughts on the show. You can also connect with us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. You can also check out our website ddindia.co.in. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching our special program. News and updates continue on DD India. Keep watching.